right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. This is Matthew here again with Jared from Unit Accounting, and we are demonstrating one more time Unit, but this time with some more functionality. We've got a little rideshare app that we want to show off today. Not a production-ready rideshare app. We're not even intending to make it production-ready, just a demonstration of what's possible when you put peer-to-peer credit and payment tools in people's hands. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started. Share. All right. So this is the Unit accounting app. It looks similar to what those of you who've played with previous versions or with Circulo. So it's basically the same interface with one major difference, and that is this little button right here, Rideshare. Now, we can still send units to people, we can still request units from other people, etc. So we can do direct transactions, but there's also this other app here, and if I click rideshare, it pulls up, hey, a rideshare map. Now I can look at one of these three different rideshare communities. It might be a small startup in Amsterdam, another one in Berlin, and maybe a driver's co-op in Barcelona. And each of them has the ability to structure their offerings the way that they want. But they can share the costs of building and maintaining infrastructure, the technical software infrastructure, across those different communities, whether there's three of them or 300 of them. And that enables them to compete with the much bigger orgs like Ubers of the world, right? The corporations that are taking 25 or 30% of every ride. It doesn't have to be that they continue to dominate. This is ways for the little guys to basically pool their resources, pool their capacities, their efforts, their offerings, and be able to offer a better alternative. Now, let's say we're in Berlin. I'm going to try to book a ride. Normally, if you had an actual version of this, all the stuff that we're doing here would really be happening in the dispatch software of whatever that rideshare organization is. They would be the ones, saying, "Hey, it's Jared who's going to give the ride." At least that's one way to structure it. But the rider would be, as they are today, they'd put in something like, okay, I want to book a ride from Alt Trepp Tower. This is like a subway stop near a big park in Berlin, to Funkhaus Berlin, an interesting venue. And we're going to find a route, right? Now, it's finding the starting point, it's finding the destination, it's calculating the route. That's just pulling back from the map software, basically. And it says, hey, distance is this, duration is that, total is blah, blah, blah. Sounds good to me. I'm going to go ahead and book that ride, right? Now, if I go ahead and look at those details a little bit, what did we have? We had 26.79 RE. That's the ride euros, the unit of account that we're using here. And my balance got billed right away. I was up somewhere near 60 or so, or high 50s. And this 26.79 got pulled out immediately as soon as I went to go book that ride. But we also have these other units that we are tracking here, minutes and kilometers. Those are what we call service units, the ride euros in this case being our payment unit, but these other things being service units. And those service units are the inputs into the smart agreement, in this case, the Berlin rideshare smart agreement, that generate through a price sheet the pricing, right? So maybe it's 2 ride euros per kilometer or uh, zero point 0.3 ride euros per minute, right? Whatever the rates are, that gets calculated and generates the price. That's interesting, but it's not just that it generates a price, it's that we actually have the ability, because it's part of the accounting software, to track all those things. So you as a driver could know that you've driven 700 kilometers over the last week, or um, you've driven for 30 hours, right, of actual rides time. Uh, okay, we're going to leave that for a moment. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and I'll let Jared pick up the driver side of this story. Jared, tell us what you're seeing over on
Great.
your end.
All right, so this interaction came in. This is actually the execution of this agreement. So, in other words, what we have here is a smart agreement where I'm being asked, was the condition to be met is basically, do I agree to drive this person, Matt? And then I choose, was that condition met? Do I agree to drive in this case? And if I click true, then it can execute this entire smart agreement, including the same spend minutes, kilometers, service units that Matt had hit on his side, um, minus just one RE, which was the service fee. And so then I can click execute. Anything else you want to point out here, Matt?
Nope, I think that's good.
Okay. So in other words, I execute here, and then it actually comes in as a credit. And so here I can actually collect the credits. So it's a two-part step in this case and how this is set up. The executor could be another party, not just the driver, but in this case, it's also the driver. So you can see this little note, just says that there's a proof of service, which was my true or my yes on the previous smart agreement. And now I can just collect the credits, which will go immediately into my balance, which bumped up a bit. And yeah,
Yeah. And
that's
Jared, can you go ahead and click on the executor one that you had, yeah, in the history there? Yeah. And in this, we can see that there were two receivers, right? The spender here was Matt on the left, and the receivers were Jared, who got most of those funds. And then right now we have Joel 42 desktop, but that's really the bridge agent for the Berlin Nurfar, rideshare organization, right? They're taking a one ride euro fee. The idea here being that you can get away with much lower fee structures when you're splitting the costs and when your organization isn't just trying to extract as much as possible out of all the drivers and riders in their ecosystem. You can go ahead and stop sharing that, Jay, and we'll stop sharing in general. Uh, the other thing I'll point out here is that this is possible not just for rideshare. This is possible for any sort of peer-to-peer economy stuff, whether that's home share, right, the Airbnb type things, or food delivery, etc. The other thing I'll point out is, yeah, we had three different organizations here. Berlin, Amsterdam, Barcelona. They can structure their ride offerings in the ways that they want. They don't all have to have the same offerings, though they can use the same shared payments infrastructure. Each of them can set up smart agreements that work for them. In Barcelona, you might have not just ordinary rides, but maybe tour guide services, right? So I'm giving you a ride to all the sites and I'm telling you about them. That might not be as relevant in Berlin, right? So, kind of interesting. You can have different organizations structuring things in the ways they want. You could also have different service providers, like the individual drivers, structuring things in the ways that they want. They could maybe set up their own price sheets. So they're choosing to charge a little bit more because when you're riding with them, you're not just getting a ride, you're getting a ride in a Ferrari, right? So, with that, we'll say this is one of our bi-weekly releases. Again, we're going to be doing week releases of new functionality every couple of weeks from now, well, from a little while back now, until the end of the year. And until next time, I'm Matt. This is Jared. Take care. See you soon.
thanks.